All hail Cersei, because we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Broke Black Man 94 here talking about Game of Thrones, the good and the what the fuck of this season. Like, is it good? Is it bad? It had its moments, but you know what? Let's introduce this freaking panel I have here from the Justin Thomas Show. Justin, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's going on? I'm Justin Thomas from the Justin Thomas Show. Excited to talk some Game of Thrones and going to try to keep it positive.
Keep it positive with Justin, yeah. That would possibly be the first. And also we have Bran the Builder. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Bran. Go by Bran the Builder. I blogs and stuff. I don't do many videos, but I'm here. I'm excited and ready to talk.
Yep. Like before this season started, I was like, Justin, we got to do a stream. I love doing freaking streams with you and even talking on the side about like what Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Westworld and stuff. So I was like, you know what? We got to do, a live stream later on when the season's over. And, since you have like Justin on your commission, bring him along too. So before we start this, again, thank you for all who are watching now from, okay, let's see, go to freaking participants. From Al Red Sox fan, Cardinal Doomsday, Shelly, Aaron, JW Flux, and Violent Messiah. And those are going to be dropping in later, and those are going to see this in the future. Thank you for watching. So how are we going to begin this, though? Like, I've rarely talked to any of you two gentlemen, like, about this season so far. So, like, overall, like, how would you, like, rate this season as opposed to others? Let's start with you, Bran.
Oh, dear. Well, I wasn't fond of 5 or 6 either, so I'd put it pretty low. Give it about a 3, 4 in comparison.
Damn, a 3 or a 4. Interesting.
In comparison, in relation to the first few seasons that were spot on.
Yeah. What about you, Justin? How you thought of the season?
I'm assuming we're doing 1 to 10, so I mean 5.5, 6 out of 10. It definitely was my lowest ranking season so far, without a doubt. I guess I'll be generous and say 6. I don't know, 6 out of 10, and that's being really, really generous.
Wow, like I just like rate this season as like a maybe possibly like a 7.9, maybe an 8. But then I just like look back at certain episodes, I'm just like, wait, what? But then I gotta remind myself it's like 7 episodes and we normally get 10. So I'm kind of judging it on that basis. So I don't know. Like, should I even honor it with an 8 though? But it's like if I give like letter grades, like I would give it a B-, not a solid B or B+. But then again, I might give it a C+. Like, but it's like I don't like giving a C+. It's just
D-.
Well, I sent D&D's parents a report card, so they know they're not doing well in class.
And I actually acknowledge like Milt in the live chat. It's like we all thought that season 5, like, isn't that the season of the Sand Snakes? Like everyone's worst season? Is that it?
The Sand Snakes were really, really terrible, but in the Dorne plot, obviously they killed it, so they knew it wasn't good. But at least everything else in season 5 was still going pretty much as it had before, as far as the pacing. Because Game of Thrones, up until this last season, was a slow burn, which I really enjoyed. It's a saga; it's not a series. So, I mean, yeah, the Sand Snakes sucked. But if you want to start talking about things that sucked, this for this season, this stream will be a long fucking stream for me. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I mean, the Sand Snakes sucked, but they don't ruin a whole season. That was just a poor choice.
Just the pacing, and they tried to cram too much in to the 7 episodes, and it didn't make sense. So more often than not.
Yeah, for me, it's like I knew it's possibly may fail, or we're gonna have a lot of disappointments when they decide, okay, at the end of season 6, they're like, okay, we're just gonna do like 2 more seasons, and then I was like, really? Not even gonna go like push to like 11 seasons? Like even Walking Dead has the courtesy to even like extend it to that long. But I'm like, all right, so be it. But then they're like, we're not even gonna give like the traditional 10 episodes. We're gonna even shrink it down. So I'm just like, okay, maybe we get like less filler. But then when you see episode 2, it's like that was just filler. And that was even like the good filler like we got in episode, what was it? 5, was it? I would say that's even kind of a filler episode because it had Gendry in it.
Oh yeah, and Gendry is a great example of what they're doing as far as storyline goes and how they're rushing it. Look, I mean, he just bounced out of, he had a bag ready and everything. It was almost like, I thought it was like a joke. He might as well winked at the camera. It's like no explaining. He's like, oh, I knew there was something coming up, so I was ready to go. Let's go. Guy that I've seen twice, you know? I mean, it's rough, man. I will say one positive thing. What was it The Spoils of War? Is that the name of the episode with the battle against
Dany and against the Lannister army and the Alliance.
That could be very well. That's right up there with Blackwater and Battle of the Bastards for me, and it might even be better than both of those. So this was the worst season, but it might have contained the best episode. Like I said, they're trying to get. They know where they need to get. They just don't know how to get there, in my opinion. They just are. They're like, we got to get here, here, and here. Like you said, it is surprising that they're not milking it because that's what networks do. I mean, the show makes a lot of money. You would think they'd be stretching it out. So anybody that tells me that they don't want to, stretch it out and ruin it. They want to just do it the service and do it right and do the episodes they always thought they were going to do. Bullshit. 13 episodes to wrap all this up. They don't know how to get there properly. They just know where they're getting. They don't care how they get there. And it's really affecting the series. There's something to say for going out on top, but hopefully season 8 will be considered going out on top. If it continues in this way, for me, that's not going out on top. That's ramming a series into the ground.
Are you sure you rated this out of a 6 out of 10? Because it kind of sounds like you're giving like a 4 rating here, and like Bran is really giving the 6. Like, are you sure you don't want to change your answer there? Like how you really rate this season? Like for me, it was like more than this one episode that was actually good. Like the first episode, the opening, it was pretty decent. It actually got me hooked for the damn season. But then when it got to episode 2, I was like, what crap is this? So they're gonna give us a whole bunch of filler, and then what, episode 5 is gonna be good? But for me, it was like the opening. Then like the Queen's Justice, that was a good one. Episode 4, Yes, Goes War, that was actually good as well. The 6th episode, and then the last was good. It was like in between stuff, it was like, it's all right. But episode 2 was like total garbage. Like maybe if they cut down the sex scene with Grey Worm, it will be, and add more to that battle with Euron, it will be good. Maybe it'll be a great episode, but it's just like, why?
I disagree, because even though a eunuch and a eunuch sex scene is kind of pointless, but at least that was like built up. They had actual
you act like we never thought those two were going to be in a relationship, though. It was been like from the moment he basically saw her naked in that one scene, it was like, okay, it's established they love each other, and it's like back and forth. Even when there was a point in time, what was it? Was it 5, I believe it was, when he almost had a close encounter dying in like in that alley. And then like she nurses him back to health. It was like, okay, it's established. They're a thing. And then we just have to have the sex scene. It's like, okay, I understand that even Grey Worm can get down, but like seriously? And then when the boat scene sex happens, like all my hatred for that scene began to like diminish. It's like, you know what, at least we saw like Miss Sunday's ass and whatnot though. But then it's like comparing to Jon Snow with that sex boat, I'm like, I don't know. What do you think, Brandon? Like, what was like your highlights of the season? Like, which episodes were your favorite?
Well, I mean, definitely the Field of Fire that episode was awesome. I mean, it did have a lot of good positive points. It had some questionable decisions, but it was definitely the best episode. I really liked the first episode though. It really gave a lot more insight into like Arya's character. Everybody wants to glorify her, but the fact is she's a psycho. She just mass murdered a bunch of people that half of them probably weren't even involved in the Red Wedding, but she gathered them all there and killed them all because, hey, and it made no sense. She gave that big speech about, ripping them root and stem, but you left one. She's a female, but she doesn't kill the females. That just didn't quite make sense to me. But I really did like that. You know, the Ed Sheeran scene, because it humanized her again. She's you can relate to her some more. But really, the rest of the episodes I wasn't really too fond of. Well, I did like some of Behind the Wall, episode 6 too. Actually, it was just kind of anticlimactic.
I like what you said about Arya, because I mean it is true. I mean, George isn't. He says he never writes, you know, good or bad characters. They're all gray. But it's like as the series goes on, they stop. BBM, I think you're a little scratchy. Somebody's a little scratchy. Is that you, Bran?
I think it's Bran because I was like commuted. So.
They're supposed to be destroying these classic tropes of fantasy, of good and evil. And when you have characters like Arya, she is a monster. She is a psycho. Now, it is because she's a product of her environment and what she's gone through. But I think people see her as a hero and they're portraying her as a hero. But she's a damaged person, and she's a murderer now. You know, anybody that tells me she's still avenging her family, bullshit. And it's like, what are we supposed to learn from that? And I know you don't have to learn something from everybody's, you know, story arc, but it shouldn't be. The Game of Thrones, there's always consequences. You know, battles are terrible. Wars are terrible. They always show like the bad fucking consequences of what's going on. What are the consequences for Arya? I think that they're just making her into a superhero, and it's for all these fantasy tropes that they're supposedly destroying. They're following exactly as these seasons go on. The later and later you get in the seasons, the more and more you see your classic fantasy tropes. So if you're bad versus evil, or you're good versus evil, not bad versus evil, good versus evil. You know, I mean, it started with Ramsay, now it's going on with Euron, and it's like we need some more great characters. So I think that Dan and Dave are not writing these characters as they should be wrote.
Yeah,
especially
to transition to like those characters, as you're saying. But before that, like posted to the chat, like we were like their favorite episodes, and like they have to agree. Like it was like between like what episode 1, 3, and 4, and then there's like one person said like the last episode was like their favorite as well. But yeah, back to the Arya thing. Like for me, this season is like before like end of season 6, I thought it was gonna be like, okay, Arya is gonna be going on a killing spree, taking down all the names on her list. But then as the episode was progressed, the moment she like freaking left the twins, it's like it's not happening that way. And then we finally see with the others arc, it's like now she's basically about to become what the muscle to what supposedly is going to be Sansa's brain. And like I don't even like see like what's going to be the use for that in the next season, as opposed to like they're kind of like getting rid of the politics or whatever thing angle. And you can see that as they get rid of like Littlefinger.
Yeah, again, another example of writing in the beginning of the series an incredibly intelligent character, and then when it suits them for that character to be stupid, they write him stupid. That's just sloppy. It's poor form. It was ridiculous the way. I mean, I have no problem with him dying, since all he was doing is sitting in a corner in Winterfell like he was at a middle school dance trying to score some ass. So I mean, he went from being so clever and the mastermind, and really him and Varys, obviously their actions have, you know, led to every single event in this story. And then he ends up just being like a stumbling idiot for the last season, and they get rid of him because it suits them. They're writing incredibly dumbed down storylines in an incredibly intelligent world that's been created. If the world, you set your own standards when you write a story, you set your own rules. I'm not going to even hate on them for the time travel, or if Jamie should have been able to swim up with his armor or not, or you know, the wind chill with Dany. That is silly. But it's like there are basic rules that they have established in this very well put together world of Westeros, or what is it called, Earthos or whatever it is. And they're writing dumb storylines in a very smart world. And it's
no, Cersei's storyline is like one of the best on top of this damn season.
This season, I agree with you.
She was MVP. She was definitely the MVP of this season.
Exactly. She's like one of the, besides the Night King, of course, because every time he comes in, it's like he's always with the damn wins.
I think that, yeah, the Night King, that will be the redeeming. That, in my opinion, the way they handle the walkers for the last season, if they make them into a gray character, some people that we can sympathize with or we can see their side, if they dive into the actual culture and they don't just portray them as monsters, that will be very redeeming for the series. But if they just stick with just monsters, evil, then it's like, hey, those are the orcs from Lord of the fucking Rings. Okay, it's, you're not breaking any rules here anymore. So I really think the way that the Night King and the rest of the White Walkers are handled will really determine, at least in my opinion, how I feel about this series as a whole. And I hope they do it justice.
They do the White Walkers justice, because every time we're seeing them, it's only just like little aspects of it. We never seen like an actual full episode or even two devoted to the White Walker angle. So hopefully they will just simply just keep it a mystery, but not just a complete total mystery. Like, do you guys like really think that the Night King is either Bran or is even like a freaking green seer? Because him like just baiting and just waiting for like a dragon seems logical now. He had the chains ready, able to freaking resurrect Viserion, and now it looks like he needed that to even like take down the wall. What you think, Bran?
What exactly about here? Where are we at? Why?
Night
Oh,
King.
I think. Yeah, I think that really their only attempt to draw some empathy out to make us understand him is when they showed the vision of Leaf changing him. I don't think they're going to try to make them any more complex, because they just can't write complex characters very well. They can't portray them as well as, say, Martin. He does an excellent job in the books. I mean, there's a reason I've spent 13 years reading these books. I mean, it
I thought it was just because you were a poor reader.
Yeah, that too.
Do you think, Bran, that we'll ever, because you are a book expert, do you think we'll ever get a POV chapter from, I know there's no Night King in the books, but do you think we'll ever get any type of POV from any of the walkers?
No, I'm pretty sure Martin has said there's going to be no more introduction or no more new POVs, but he's supposed to send one character up in the north, so we should be able to see what's going on there anyway. I really think they will have a humanizing factor to them. I think they're just more or less basically another subspecies of man, like the children, they myth and legend of them interbreeding throughout the whole series, so I just think they're another aspect, almost like the Native Americans. They showed up, sent to a reservation, and stuck there. That's kind of how I see the White Walkers.
Yeah, I like the theory that the White Walkers built the wall. I know it's really not going to end up being true, but I think that would be a nice twist, that they were trying to keep the humans out. I like that theory. But as far as making them just monsters or giving them any type of culture, I mean, I just hope they do it, because
well, they obviously have culture. Why else would a White Walker have like a top knot? It was like we saw it there.
Well, let me rephrase. I hope they show it.
I just don't expect it from Dan and Dave, is all I'm saying. I think they're going to just try to make them bad guys, the orcs, like you said, and in the series they're rushing. They're ready to move on. That's why we get so much anger towards them, because we've grown to love this show as much as the books, and there's a reason that we enjoy it. I mean, they are real to us. I mean, we can feel what they're feeling pretty much, and then to just rush it here at the end to be done with it so they can move on, that's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect them to be George. And like I was saying before we started this with just you guys, I think that George himself wrote far too complex of a world. I think George, in my opinion, is better at creating a world than he really is even at storytelling, even though he's an excellent storyteller. But I think he creates these vast worlds and these cultures within them and all this lore and all that. I think he's really good at that. And I think that's why it's taken him so long to come out with wins, because now he's having trouble navigating his own complex maze almost. And Dan and Dave, they're just fucking slamming through the maze because they have no clue. So I don't expect them to be, I'm not going to be, oh, it's better in the books, because it mostly all, except for the SO stuff and a few other things, is almost all better in the books, in my opinion. But I don't hold them to that standard. I hold them to be consistent with storylines, and don't say one thing one episode like Edmure is gonna go to Castle Rock, and then the very next episode say he's in a fucking dungeon. Don't say the walkers can't swim and then show them going and pulling a dragon out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, how do you excuse that?
If we love this show. Those 10 episodes, you would have seen them going underneath the water or something. For we know, we got some like white fishers or something. I don't know, but it's like D&D has like certain points that George, hopefully he's going to have in his books. And it's like, they have to just work around it. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, who's in that writing room or in any writing room from almost like a lot of these like shows. I just don't know if they're just pandering to the casual watcher. And now for us, who's like always like watching watch episodes like just more than once and actually make analysis on like every single scene.
Yeah. The biggest problem this pace is doing is it's losing that emotion, that that feelings we felt for Hodor when he was killed. Damn, I about shed a tear for that. But now, I mean, I don't think we'll feel that again with any of the characters because they're just speeding through it. This next season when they start killing people off, because it's going to happen, we're not going to feel it for them like we did for Hodor, for Ned, for all these other Rob, all them.
Yeah, if anything, it's probably next season where we're probably to get like the major death. It's like, I'm guessing they didn't want to like give us any this season, so they can just like build it up. But it's like, I don't know. In my opinion, Tormund probably should have died in episode 6. Like if that happened, then I've been like, holy shit, they freaking killed, and that would have been like devastating for me.
Absolutely. I had a video and I almost posted it, but something came up about my predictions for deaths, and I'm happy I didn't, because I predicted far more people dying, and I stick by it. Should have died.
A lot of people dying. Even I thought that Jon was gonna die, and then Beric was gonna give him the kiss of life. Then I'm always keep on hearing from books, and I'm like, okay, that's what's gonna happen. Well, but like that didn't even happen.
Tormund should have died beyond the wall. Beric should have died beyond the wall. The good example is how they need to be focusing, and they're only focusing really on Jon, Dany, Cersei, Jaime, and now Euron. They should have killed off a lot of these other characters that they're obviously not doing story lines for. They're just kind of popping in there so they could maybe slow the pace down a little bit, since they have fewer characters to kind of show. But they decided to only kill off Littlefinger. It was only major death. It's like that's crazy to me. I think it would have been in their best interest to kill off a lot more people this season, and for some reason they didn't. And that's another thing. Like, is Euron going to be the new big bad? I expected him to die this season too.
True.
Because why didn't they? But if he's going to be such a big part of the ending, why didn't they introduce him earlier and cut out somebody else? It's like, now I just feel like they just are being sloppy, and they slapped him in there. Now, another example of a character that is
because we love Theon, so we're like, okay, we're gonna close Theon out some way somehow. So I guess that's what the Euron is now. He has Yara, so I'm guessing that's what's gonna be next season. I think next season is be just one particular episode with Euron, possibly if he's gonna go legitly getting the Golden Company, either on the way of getting the Golden Company or on the way back to freaking King's Landing with them. Like Theon's gonna come and try to like save his sister.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with Euron, except for he is, again, another example of a character that isn't gray, which they're not supposed to have, just good and bad. I can't think of anything good about Euron in the show, but they're definitely going to be doing that. But why not if he's going to be such a crucial part, why just slap him in at the end? It's like we could have had him. They're just it's getting
into the books late too. He's a phase 3 character, so he's I can understand holding off to bring him in, but at the same time, they're not portraying him worth a shit. I don't even know if I need to go into that, because I would rant for hours.
He's a hot topic model.
He's like greater than supposed to be like what Ramsay. I think that's how they like boosted him up. But then it's like, okay, what he did is just like kill the sand snakes. But from previous episodes, and even like now, you can see like, okay, this sand snake's like a really big threat. Not really. Then he kidnaps Yara. Only thing he's basically done is like weaken a part of Dany's army. And that's about it.
He's got a god complex. He's trying to become a god on Earth. You know, he's trying to show that the gods aren't real. He's done everything in his life has been in spite of the gods, and he's never been broke down before. You know, never been cast down. He is a psychological genius. He's always 3 moves ahead, but at the same time, he plays his games. He just, you know, warps people's mind. He breaks people. He enjoys it. You know, that's the whole Forsaken chapter in the Release chapter. It just shows how he's breaking Aaron. You know, he's asked him to become his priest. You know, I'll raise you up as my priest if you know. He is such an in-depth character. They're not portraying him right. I'll just leave it at that. They're giving us Victarion with a little bit of wit to make him, and giving him the name Euron. That's all they've done.
Live chat saying, like Sam says, like Euron is back to being a dumb on the show. What else? Yeah, book Euron from Mel. Book Euron won't take any of her shit. The sights on bigger things than King's Landing. Yeah,
He'll take King's Landing.
Jim's like, they brought Euron just to help out Cersei. Yeah, that's the only thing like for Euron, because Cersei, like, she knew nothing about anything about navigation, of course. So even Jaime laid out him either. Maybe he's more of land tactician. So they're like, okay, we need someone. So they freaking brought in Euron for that.
Well, like how Jaime, the leader of the Lannister forces, was surprised when the whole armada was approaching. Cersei's like, guess who's coming? And he's like, holy shit. And she's like, the Greyjoys. He's like, and he was unaware of this. Like, I mean, I won't.
You can see that, like, Cersei's not telling Jaime freaking anything this entire day.
Yeah, but still, he's the leader of the army. 1,000 ships are approaching his capital. But I mean, that's just, I won't pick apart the series like that. I think that gets a little bit silly, but there are certain things like when they're not consistent, like, Yara would never leave anybody. Well, Yara had a lot better odds, even though Theon was going back in the cage to rescue Theon. And she ran because of some dogs. I don't know what the fuck Theon was supposed to do when he was the only guy left on the boat on his side and she had a knife to her throat. Like, yeah, he's good with a sword, but he ain't that good. So everybody's giving him shit because of that. But
I'm glad they put that scene in there. I mean, that just really glad they put that in there. That just visualized PTSD to people. You know, they don't really understand it. They gave somebody a chance to visually see what PTSD could do to you.
Absolutely.
I'm glad they put that scene in.
Yeah, Theon is done pretty well, and they've actually, besides the situations they put him in, they've excellent acting from Alfie Allen, and that scene especially, just he looks over and he sees the people being harmed in ways in which he was harmed by Ramsay. I absolutely agree with you, but I don't know. Then they do silly things like he gets kneed, but he ain't got balls, and I get it because every character loses something, but they end up becoming better for it. But that's like the dumbest version of that fucking, storytelling.
Accepting who you are.
yeah, that's like the most dumbed down version. He's like, and you do have a pubic bone still. It will hurt. So, I mean, but again, you don't even need to get so nitpicky to have issues with this season. But again, I feel like they know where they need to go and they don't give a shit how they're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, I like this season until like the very last episode, where after his conversation with John, okay, it's like, I get it. But just having him go fight that one captain, saying, oh, we have to go get my sister, that could have just simply been cut out. Period. Like, you could have did something else with that scene or added something else later on. But like
episode 6, I guess I really did especially, because I did that whole blog about the comparison to Marathon. It just, to me, it was just anticlimactic. You get this big thing building up and a spear kills it and it's over. I mean, 10 seconds, it's over. It's every time you turned around, like the bear. How in the hell you're fighting the bear with 5 people? Some guy comes up, little knife stabs it, it dies, just drops to the ground. What?
Yeah,
exactly. It's the power.
And they paid a
Wait,
shit ton of money for it.
Dragon Glass, though. Like, hopefully it was. If not, then it's like you're destroying it again.
It just didn't make sense, though. I mean, they're fighting it with fire, swords, and everything else, but that isn't working. But then you come up and stab it once with a little knife, and it's over. Game over.
Because it's a zombie. It's like with regular zombies, though. If you come at stabbing it, but if it's not in the head, then I'm guessing it still comes at you. I don't know.
But they get chopped at the neck with an axe.
They built up complex situations, and now they're just making them just so it doesn't add up. Like, they built this whole situation where Cersei is really, really just at a huge disadvantage, and you can't tell me that she has any pull or should have had any of the leverage that they gave her for them to even want to bring it. Why do they need to convince Cersei of anything? You know what I mean? Like, and I think Lena Headey did a great job this season. I think Cersei's storyline was great, but I mean, the circumstances was they could have fucking took Cersei out. They don't need to go and risk John's life and everybody's life to go on the Scooby-Doo, mission to go capture a white, to go prove to the person that they could literally just run through. And I guess they're trying to say it's because King's Landing has 1 million people. Before it was 500,000, but they have 1 million people, so all those people would be turned into the dead, and that's why they can't. So it's like, oh yeah, because Cersei's the best person to protect those people. She doesn't give a shit about them. That's what I'm saying.
More men for their army. That was about it. That's why they
could have took it. They could have took it. Yeah, I mean, the justification for the things they're doing. I mean, Cersei is not the person to keep. If she blows up the Sept, she's nuts. I mean, it would be actually way more intelligent to go and get her out of power ever. So I mean, they just set up these characters and then they just do stupid things with them. So I mean, if you're going to be complex, be complex. If you're going to be simple, be simple. You can't have it both ways. You can't write smart when it suits you and write dumb when it suits you. It's bad. It's not consistent.
What about the pregnancy?
That I was very shocked.
That's another thing.
I thought that I've read the freaking plot leaks, but I remember only ones I truly remembered were the Cersei ones perfectly. And when they say they're gonna have a miscarriage, I was like, yeah. So it's like, are they just now they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna have this issue? Even now, I'm like even debating whether or not she is pregnant. But if she is, are they just gonna make that baby the Valonqar now? Is that what they're trying to do?
I really like the idea that Tyrion has agreed to make him or Cersei's child the heir, because he knows Dany can't have kids, and that explains his whole freaked out look with Jon at the end. I like that idea a lot, actually. I think he's kind of doing his own thing, trying to make things work because he doesn't completely trust Dany. I mean, all season he pretty much tried to pull her back from burning everybody. And
for me, it looks like Tyrion's kind of building up like a democracy in a sense of picking out the leader. Because when he was talking with Dany in episode 6, he's like, "Oh well, the Night's Watch, they have their method. Even the Ironborns, they even have theirs, and it's almost like a democracy there." So that's how I kind of looked at it. And I try to pick actual heir for anything though.
He's also trying to save his family's name. He talked about when he's talking to Cersei there. He didn't want to end his. He's trying to do it for his family. And so he definitely is trying to save as many Lannisters as he can, but at the same time win. And,
well, I really like. I wanted Jaime obviously to leave Cersei a long, long time ago, and there were so many situations, in my opinion, in which they should have done it. And now, in the one case when Cersei she's pregnant, so it would make sense for Jaime to stick by her through her awful shit. He leaves now. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like remember when she got all your kids killed? You leave then. No. So now when she's pregnant with your child, now you leave her. So now I'm almost like, why is he leaving? When every other season, I was like, fucking leave, leave.
I think it's leaving, he's leaving her. I think he just simply leaving, simply King's Landing to actually go help out. I don't think he's completely just done with her though.
Yeah,
I mean, really the deciding factor is when she threatened him to kill him with the mountain. I think that's really when he decided, yes, I'm going to go, because it kind of showed him that she is this almost mad queen that she doesn't care about anybody but herself. And
I think we've seen that though.
well, I know, but he hasn't as much. He's blinded for obvious reasons.
He's been blinded since day one when he decided to freaking push Bran out the window. Not this Bran here on the panel, but like things he does for love. But it was like this was like the last straw because he knew that they were all going to be freaking screwed. Either way, like again,
he doesn't want to have
not like teaming up with them in the end. It's like even if she actually just helped them out by even giving them the army to even fight the White Walkers, if they even happen to survive, they're just basically going to turn around and then just march right back to things and happening.
All I'm saying is this was the one case, in my opinion, that Jamie actually would have been justified sticking by her side because you're staying for the kid, and he essentially just went out for some cigarettes and never came back. I do like the whole mountain thing with Tyrion. I thought that was an excellent scene because Tyrion had to know if she was willing to kill him, and that was ballsy as hell, and that was great. That reminded me of the old Game of Thrones when he right away had to play that card, and that was fucking risky. He had to pretty much say, are you going to kill me? Are you going to do it? Or are we going to have a conversation? You know what I mean?
That's what, why I'm saying about the the air thing. That showed him that she isn't as crazy as he thought. She is still thinking somewhat logically.
Yes, it was well done, but they shouldn't have just redid the same thing for Jamie, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But again, the one time that Jamie maybe could have been like, all right, I get it. He's got a kid with her, so he's going to stay. He bounces, which I'm really excited for it. It's kind of like he rides off because I want Jamie to have that final like hero's death almost. I want him to be doing something, gallant, doing something that is, something that can be called honorable, like whether it's going after the Night King. He deserves a true knight's death or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
I think the theory that it's going to be like Jamie that give up his life saving Bran. Because it's parallel to how he just pushed him off from episode 1, and that's how he might end up dying. That's if he ends up dying next season.
Yeah, I think he will. I love Jamie. I even love Show Jamie for all the things that they've done wrong with him. But I mean, I'm excited to see where they go with that. I hope they go somewhere good. I mean, I don't know. It's just
Bron will go with him?
I don't know why Bron's still alive either. But I think that Bron will most likely be. He's not going to stay in King's Landing.
He's the most sensible character.
Yeah,
he's the most sensible character in the series. He knows who's number one, himself, and he looks out for himself. So, I mean, in the books, he's married to Lawless Stokeworth, and he's the Lord there now. He's got his castle and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bron.
Do you guys think that Bron is going to actually go back with Tyrion?
I do. That's where I think he'll go. The one thing I wanted to mention about Bron is they showed, I think they really should have, I was mentioning how I couldn't buy that they felt they were still intimidated with Cersei, especially after the Field of Fire too. But if they would have because we seen that Scorpion almost kill Drogon. You get even six of those fucking things and mount them up in King's Landing. That to me then shows, okay, those dragons are actually at risk. It's like, just add a few more. Because we saw Bronn just miss by a hair. And we obviously know that they can die after the Night King, did his Olympic throw through them. So it's like they should have they could have stacked the cards a little bit more in her favor by just simply adding a few more of those, because that was a good addition. But I just don't buy
more of the Scorpion just like showing them, okay, these dragons can be targeted. For me, because if I highly doubt they was even going to even work. I'm surprised that we even actually see any scorpions during the parlay, like even like stationed or anything. Even the only thing they were setting up was wildfire, which I was surprised they even like shown us wildfire, because I thought everyone on the road to like the season, everyone's keeping on saying, "Oh, Cersei's gonna be using wildfire left and right and everything," but it even happened. So it's like they just want to utilize that for like season 6.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go with the the threat of like mutual destruction, imminent destruction. Like when two countries both have nukes, they won't nuke each other because they're both guaranteed to fucking die. So I thought they would have stacked, you know, a whole bunch of wildfire, or at least talked about it in King's Landing, and kind of did something like that. Like if she attacks with the dragons, then it's gonna blow up everything or something. You know, that guaranteed mutual imminent destruction. But I don't know. They just didn't. We were just supposed to believe that the soldiers they had left were gonna be a threat to Dany and Jon, because what did Cersei have to offer them? Euron, I guess.
I hope to see Dario next season riding an elephant.
Really? That's probably going to cause even more filler. But
that'll tie up the whole Myronese plot, I think. It'll give us a resolution on that. The way they ended that I didn't like. Just, oh, you stay here and rule. No, that's not Dario.
Yeah, he said fuck the Myronese. He said fuck everybody, and then she's like, "You're perfect for the job of protecting these people and ruling them." He's like, "What
exactly.
Everybody is dead there. That it's not getting tied up. Dragon's Bay is just like Rape Bay, and Dario is just a monster. I mean, terrible choice. That's like saying Hitler. You're perfect for Jerusalem. You know what I mean? You're gonna get down there right away. I think you're the perfect person to run it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I want him to be involved. I don't know. I doubt it.
I love him.
D&D will think it.
I mean, he's the Bran of the East, in my opinion.
Right.
You know? So we will see.
Now, for like Bran this entire season now, it's like, what do you guys thought of it? For me, I see like Bran was like a total letdown, and that we only probably should have seen him like for the first episode and then the last episode. Because in between, like, he was hardly doing anything. And maybe I would give him some credit if they actually put that deleted scene of him helping Sansa out.
Yeah.
And I completely disagree with that. I love the way they portrayed Bran.
Because he was just there. He was just there. Even when it came to the reunions, he didn't give an F about anything.
Transcended. He's like a god. He is the god, the old god.
A god who's just there, doing nothing, though.
He's watching. He's learning. He's coming into his own, coming into this trying to understand these powers, because he didn't have much time learning them. He's all of a sudden almighty. You know, you can't expect to get bombarded with that much information over that short amount of time and not be detached, not lose touch with reality, not find I guess it's understood that he didn't immediately recall seeing this scene or that scene, but then he's able to go see the Rhaegar marriage, see the Baelish stuff. I really liked it. I think he needed to be detached. He needed to be a different lack of emotion. I think he needed that.
I think that he is a tool for Dan and Dave. I think that they don't really know what to do with him, and I'm afraid that he is going to just be used as he was this season. When they need to rewind the VCR and check the tape, the instant replay, they're going to use him. They're going to use him to explain shit that they didn't fucking work out right. He's there for expedition. He's there to solve problems that can't be, convincingly, realistically solved even in the world of Game of Thrones. I think he's a tool. I think that's a problem with Dan and Dave. They use characters as just tools. They're keep this guy around because we're going to need him to do this.
Like, he could have been used for like almost every filler point, though. Like with Brandon, we could have actually got the Materia Harrenhal with him, just with flashbacks, and that could have easily just tied in at his ultimate flashback with him and Sam talking about, oh, did you like see this wedding that between Rhaegar and Lyanna? That could have been like perfectly set up that way, but they didn't. They just keep having him just saying, oh, I have to see Jon, I have to see Jon, I have to see Jon. What, just to tell him that okay, he's a Sam, whatever though. But it's like, telling Jon is like his real parentage. That has to be like something effective towards the White Walkers and shit. It has to be. Because every time with Sansa and Arya is like Beckry and all this other stuff and had Littlefinger in the background, it's like Brandon was just like sitting there and like, I really didn't give a damn about anything at all. And then you keep on saying, oh, I see everything in pieces though. It's like on the show, we don't even realize his true extent of his power. So at one point I thought they actually could see the future, but he clarified, I can see what happened in the past and what's happening currently. So it's like, even then when he gave the freaking dagger to Arya, I thought that, oh, maybe he knows that she needs it later on, like killing a White Walker or something, but apparently no.
I think that it's the old, issue of he's like a god, character. He is, if he's all knowing and all powerful, then why isn't he fixing everything? And if he's good, then why isn't he fixing everything? Or if he's evil, why isn't he destroying everything? When you introduce a character, magic's dangerous like that when you're writing a story, because it's endless possibilities for what they can do. So they are putting restrictions on Bran when it's convenient for them, again, but then also making him the Bran 10,000 when they need him to be. It's another example of writing a character in different ways to suit different situations, and it's not consistent. I feel he is a tool that will be utilized to solve some bullshit in the end. They didn't develop him. I mean, they skipped the whole season without him because they didn't want to develop him. He's just there now. He's there because the ending's going to be weird, and they're going to have to explain some stuff that they definitely aren't prepared to explain, and the Bran 10,000 is going to jump in and do it. That's the way I feel.
Wouldn't you use him as a tool if you had him sitting next to you?
I'd develop the tool first.
But you're still, they hardly even
they
use
could have
them
done a
though.
lot more with him. I agree with that. They could have done a lot more with him, but I do like the portrayal that they gave him. The detached.
Yeah, it shows like he's like truly the Blood Wraith. That was it. When they asked him, when Sansa was like, "You're the Lord of Winterfell," he's like, "No, I'm freaking Blood Wraith." Like, okay,
Right.
no, seen the Three-Eyed Raven. Okay, we get that, but still, you could have freaking utilized him. Maybe if they give us that deleted scene, I'll give him his 2 cents, because then when Sansa asks, "Okay, what should I do with freaking Arya and whatever?" There you go. But till then, it was like what you could have done is like, okay, first episode, show him at the wall. Last episode, at least have him like appear, but like still no.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like when they cut that scene with Bran that actually showed how this all built up, that's a big mistake, because they left it as they were just who was Arya and Sansa playing this game for. We are left to just believe that they were just actually just doing this whole ruse with nobody watching you. And that's when you do that for the viewers, because they could have had Littlefinger listening or a little bird or something. I know they explained it in the cut scene, but why do you cut that scene? And then you just leave the sloppy storytelling because you have two characters just lying to the audience, which is something you're not supposed to do. I mean, and they decide to cut it. I wish she would have.
Wasn't the rules even like believable though? Because their setup wrong was like they showed Arya seeing that, okay, he's like talking to people, he's like little birds in Winterfell. Then when we see him like simply just talking to like the Northern Lord and like the Knights of the Vale dude. And I spoke to you guys earlier, like if they actually just cut that out and just had like Arya just simply just walking down the halls of Winterfell and just see that Maester just talk to Littlefinger and then go into investigate, that's one thing. But just showing us that, it's like, okay, they're probably just like trolling us here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Littlefinger's end game was, but it was a whole lot of build up for nothing. Just like the High Sparrow, Marjorie, building, wasting all this time building up, and then they just fucking either kill him in a poor fashion.
That happens quite frequently in the books. You got this typical hero arc, and they get to the their crux of their journey, and then they die, like Quentin Martell. He's releasing dragons and gonna try to show Daenerys, but he gets burned and dead, gone, bye. I
agree, and I think that that's right, because sometimes people just get killed, and that makes sense. But with Littlefinger, it's like that wasn't even that's not Littlefinger season 1. That's just some dumb,
I agree,
ass grabbing guy.
It was definitely poor writing.
It's a brothel owner that ends up getting killed over trying to get some ass. It has to be like the first that's ever fucking happened, that a guy that runs brothels needs ass so bad that he just does some dumb middle school shit and sits in a corner and becomes retarded because he's just focused in on that, that Sansa and all the lords.
Downfall, period. It was like he was just banking on Sansa to like never betray him. And he always had like a backup plan for everything except for that moment.
Yeah.
Contingencies. He's a man of contingencies.
But even if I was Littlefinger, again, in that trial, he could have easily said anything to trump them all. It's like the moment where like Bran was like, "Oh, I heard you say to my father, you shouldn't have trusted me," and stuff. I'm like, how would he know? Was he in King's Landing? Why should we believe a word from a boy right here? As we said earlier, he was on acid.
It was an execution.
What about Liza? I mean, Sansa was almost thrown out the moon door by Liza, and she throws that at him. You killed my aunt. It's like, well, that actually he was saving your life. I mean, like, it's like he could at least had an argument, not break down and cry. Some of the allegations that were thrown at him were kind of even bullshit. He's just, again, I mean, I've said it too many times. They just wrote him dumb for that scene. They're like, oh, he's got to be dumb. We can't have him be like how he is.
Shock value. That's why they didn't know what to do with him, so they just kept him hung around as a wall ornament for 7 episodes and then killed him off for shock value.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And how much does CGI cost that they are using that as the reason for us getting so few episodes? I mean, I didn't need that polar bear. I don't know about you guys.
That Shelley brought up, like, where in the world was Ghost? It's like his CGI money was in everywhere. And I don't know if they're just doing all this CGI just for like the casual viewer to keep their attention flowing. But it's like, even though all the action was like good this season, yeah, but I was like banking on the actual dialogue. And it kind of was like falling flat for a few scenes, like a lot of scenes, not even just a few.
If the theory is correct about how he's warged into Ghost when he's killed, how does he go back? I mean, there's a good chance they have to kill Ghost to bring him back to his body. So, or they've meshed together and Ghost is part of him and goes back to the body. So there's a good chance Ghost may not be involved in, after he's resurrected.
But in that, what Bran just did is a perfect example of us as fans that love to make theories and stuff, making poor writing seem good. Because yes, that is very intelligent and that's a very good way to think of it, Bran. And that can maybe make me sleep a little bit better at night, but that's not the reason he's not in the show.
No.
You know what I mean?
They just left him out.
I think there's so many people out there that we craft these theories and all this. We're almost, it's like we're in denial. So we're like, no, this is because of this. It's not bad. You got to hold them to a standard, man. I mean, did I enjoy Game of Thrones? Yes, I enjoyed it this season. Did I think it was up to par for that show? No, but it set a really high standard, and that is hard to keep. But yeah, I'm gonna pick it apart. I think it gets silly, like I said, when you pick apart things like Dany with the wind chill and all that, and time. I even forgive them for the time travel, even though they shouldn't have shown how long it took to get places in the earlier seasons if they were planning on abandoning that. But whatever. But when there's basic continuity issues and consistency, that's a problem. You can't ignore it.
I would have even looked past all that if they would have kept the themes and the character arcs the way they should have been. Jaime should have left Cersei before the siege of River Run. His arc is totally different. Theon's Alfie Allen has done an amazing job with Theon. He really has. And while Ewan or whatever his name is did a great job with Ramsay, but it's still not the theme that Theon has. It's similar. He's got this identity crisis, but they just can't decide what they want to do, and I don't know. That's where I got so frustrated and quit watching after season 4, because they just lost all the complexities to me. What makes these characters tick, what brought them to life for me, the intricacies.
Yeah, there was consequences.
Because at one point we kind of see like he was with his identity crisis. Then he went back to the Iron Islands and he teamed up with the Yard. But then it's like, okay, they're like, let's go back to his identity crisis. And they basically just had that PTSD moment, and then he just freaking leaves. And then they had that scene with him talking with Jon, saying, "Yeah, even though you are born like a Greyjoy, you are a Stark."
Yeah.
Then he goes back to his sister. So it's like it's still like focused on like the main plots of certain characters, but at the end, it's like.
Well, I mean, and a lot of people are saying, "How can you ignore the time travel?" Trust me, I'm not fucking happy about it. But it's just because, again, they're not telling the story about how things are happening anymore. They're just showing things happening. This bullshit beyond the wall. that's as silly as it gets, in my opinion. There could have been so many better situations to actually handle that, but whatever. The wall coming down, I'm not even really happy with. The show used to be when it was more of a slow burn. Remember Arya and the Hound just trying to get to, River Run or the Twins, and then the Vale, the Eyrie. That was a whole story within 2 seasons of itself of them traveling together, and we got, great dialogue. But now they're not doing it like that. They're like, it would have just been Arya and the Hound need to get to the Red Wedding right as it's happening, and then they'd be like, and now we need to get them to go to the Eyrie as soon as Liza dies. So they just would have did that shit in like 2 episodes. They wouldn't have
But that's the thing. This time travel makes sense because it's really time consuming. So they had to like delete certain shit out. But that stuff that they deleted should have been added. So again, like, who was their decision to make it 7 episodes? I don't know. Now, am I
because
saying
they don't know how to get there?
No, but what they gave us was still like enjoyable.
And they're done. They're ready to give up. That's why the filler there. That's all filler stuff. But it does. It gives a humanizing aspect to the characters. It makes you feel that empathy for the characters, that everybody that shows the grayness to the characters.
Yes.
And
give me
shows good and bad.
Give me Arya and the Hound. Yeah. Sorry. Go.
Right. I mean, that really, we get to understand those characters better. Their mannerisms, the way they're gonna, allows us to predict what they're gonna do. Instead of just, hey, I'm gonna go kill Baelish and fuck it.
Yeah, like, give me Arya and the Hound on a horse for a season all day over a fucking zombie polar bear, which evidently costs a shit ton of money. They had to beg for it because that's like, give me the zombie polar bear. It's like, no, fucking tell a story, because then you get payoff moments, like, for instance, like Arya and the Hound. When we saw Brienne and the Hound see each other in King's Landing, that was a great moment that they talked about Arya. And that was only a great moment because of how they built up Arya's and the Hound's story and how they actually let us see them. That's not filler. That's storytelling. That allows
these reunions, these emotional moments that builds these moments, that the Podrick moment, all of them, even with even behind the wall when John's walking and talking to everybody, we all know these connections that they have, and now they're finding them out, and it's just a awe-inspiring moment, seeing it play out finally.
It means something.
You can see that they're kind of like cutting down on the storytelling, because you can see the casual watchers, like, they want more the red wedding moments. And because of that, they're saying, you know what, then let's just cut down all the storytelling a bit.
It's like, cut the storytelling down. But it's
because
like,
I remember seeing like a whole bunch of friends were like, oh, I was disappointed at the season finale because there were no fighting. There was like no even deaths or anything at all. And it's they just expect more red wedding for almost every single episode.
Well, I don't know what to tell them, but I wouldn't be. I think there's a larger amount of people that actually would. There's at least a little bit. There's a middle ground, at least, between people like us and casual watchers. And casual watchers were watching when it was a slow burn as well. And as far as the wall goes, like, I was really disappointed too, because there's that magic aspect they always talk about. I always thought that it's just like, that's another example of them, like I was talking about before we went on about the Gordian knot with Alexander the Great. He doesn't untie it. It's this mythical knot that can't be untied. He just chops it right in half. That's what Dan and Dave do all the time. It's like, ooh, this complex situation. Then they slam through it with a fucking ice dragon. There's like, all this stuff is built up about the magical aspect of it and all that. And then they just blow through it. They're just like, nah, fuck it.
Magic did take down the wall, though. It was a white dragon.
Magic in the wall anyway. I don't think there's magic in the wall anyway.
Now, I actually really wanted Bran to go through the damn wall, and then somehow the wall was somehow begins to crack or whatever, or be weakened. And then have the Night King come and just like freaking touch the wall, and then it would just be collapsed. But it didn't happen that way. What
about the mark too? I mean, they didn't even address the mark. I
think the mark thing was just for him getting to the Blood Raven. That was it. I think that's it. Because they just, if not, then maybe in season 8 they would bring back to it.
I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty big deal that the Night King was able to just, break those magical barriers. And then they didn't choose to even address that at all when he just said some weird, creepy stalker shit to what's his name, Ed, at the wall. And they're like, let him through. They're like, don't even address it. Because it's want to why? Because it's not convenient for them to address at the time. And that's
more Ed. More Ed.
Dollar a set. So I mean, I love BBM. I know you love Cersei. I thought even though that she was incredibly the odds were stacked against her way more than they acted like they were. But her acting this season and her story was much better than it's been in the past. I think her actions made sense, even though the actions of the others with her didn't make sense. But I think that Cersei was very intriguing this season. I will say that. And I usually think like the last few seasons, she was just ridiculous, but I thought that they did a good job with her. So.
Completely agree. They did a good job storytelling with her. I really liked how they portrayed Tyrion losing all the time. It's more or less Jaime against Tyrion, and Jaime's been trained to be this military, tactician. Tyrion has no training whatsoever when it comes to fighting, So the fact that they had Tyrion lose and Jaime to outsmart him every time, I really liked how they done that.
Yeah.
Like Tyrion, ever since Tyrion left King's Landing, I see his story is becoming a little bit boring. And almost simply a waste of a character at point because even when he was able to take over Marie for a bit, still the slave wars came and we're still causing trouble and riots and stuff. So and then finally we see him in the beginning with Dany, it's he hasn't really done any good thing at all. All his plans have been crap. And to this day I begin to wonder, did he just have to stand saints with Yara, knowing that Euron is around, so something bad can happen to them?
They weren't crap. He was just outsmarted. They weren't crap. He was just outsmarted. He was predicted and then countered. I mean, it's a chess match. That's the basis of chess. It's a game of chess, and to outsmart your enemy, and that's what Jaime did. And that's what I was saying. I guess that I'm glad that they showed that aspect because obviously somebody with training is gonna be smarter than somebody who doesn't have training.
Yeah, but I think that I agree with you on that. And Tyrion was trying to more play off of emotion than he was stratagem. Yeah. But what about Varys too? That's another. They might as well have just killed him right along with Littlefinger, maybe even off screen. They love to do that because what the fuck did he do this season? All these complex characters. What is Varys doing other than? I mean, he's.
I don't even young Griff.
We never knew what was Varys doing, even any seasons, really.
He was still making moves. He was definitely doing things.
He was never really that much talking to
him. They left out Aegon the 6th, so they don't know what to do with him. I mean, that's where his story arc surrounds. This new fake Aegon. They don't know what to even put in there to, make it even semi-believable because he's not doing any of this stuff in the books. He's got his own plans, his own agenda that makes, sense to him, but they're trying to wrap it up into Dany's arc and into Jon's arc, and they're splitting the character between the two, and how can, it's just too much what they're trying to do.
Speaking of Dany and Jon, it's with this season, how they build up their relationship was too rushed, and I just couldn't grasp the concept of it. Him just simply just opening up the door and then immediately cuts him having sex next scene. It was I don't know.
That's actually true. I once held the door for
forcing the relationship though, but come on. It's even with Ingrid, it was they were still building that up to find okay, they actually love each other. Versus Dumb, it's they're simply just too rushed. It was just more of a booty call there.
Have you ever held a door for somebody?
Yeah.
You're banging that person right after you hold that door. Trust me.
I've hold the door many times. I haven't got laid, so I don't know what doors you'll be opening, Justin.
Yeah. Well, it's just another example of the
moment of lust than love. They shouldn't have portrayed it so much. And I don't know. A big theme in the books is the impossible love, the forbidden love, unrequited love. You know, it just love isn't a thing that happens in these books. You don't have the happy ending, the the good, the whatever. You know, it's got so many themes of just the love triangles and the impossible love. You know, he wants to love her, but he can't, and that's why see happen in the books. Maybe one of them just falls head over heels, but the other one can't or won't, and choose not to, and it could go either way. I don't know what.
Yeah, the chat's like they're indifferent. Like, no, it's like this relationship is like not believable. Like, Flux saying like Danny's like just too easy. Sand's like John and Danny was just overwhelming.
She's a
And then
conqueror.
again, like the door was like
they needed them to get together, which leads me to believe, and I don't think they could have been any more heavy-handed with this. They're gonna have a kid.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was like implied.
They
that's
needed
like,
that to happen. They don't know how to get to that happening, so they're just gonna do it. Yeah, there was all that tension of being in a cave once, and I guess going on a Scooby-Doo mission, but I mean, whatever. It's just obvious that now, and I'm a little bit afraid that we're going to have this whole, godchild thing with them, and that it's going to be, moving on, because this is a saga, not a series. So saga is a series. As soon as Ned dies, you're like, oh, this isn't a story about Lannisters versus Starks. And then in Rob, they're like, oh no, it's a story about a son's revenge, getting back. Nope. And it keeps going. That's great. It's a saga. So it's like, I think it is going to move. Even this isn't the last generation that we're seeing right now.
I think that the Walkers are going to be defeated pretty easily. And when they kind of turn around, there's Euron sitting on the throne. And, then they have to go really dispose of the true evil. It's the battle within. It's something he mentions thousands of times about, the battle within oneself is what makes it great.
Faulkner. Yeah, it's Faulkner.
Yeah, that's why I have an issue with these supernatural beings being the bad guys. I almost want it to play out that way where, first couple episodes, bam, it's done, over with the White Walkers, and everybody's thinking, oh shit, yeah, we won. And then they turn around and see man being the ultimate enemy. Then,
Well, I mean, the truth is that even when the Night King wasn't marching a mile every year, very slowly towards the south, that things weren't great. So even when they defeat him, if they do, which they probably will, they're still going to be shitty people. Yeah. I mean, they weren't great people before.
It was always it was whoever's on the Iron Throne, and then there's like the Night King. And now mostly we were just always focusing on more of like who's on the Iron Throne, they're the enemy, whatever. But now it's more focusing, okay, we're going to put a pause on that, focus on the Night King. Right. And if we actually live that, we have to deal with, okay, who's back on the Iron Throne.
It's like the white and gray. I mean, the white and black, the good guys on one side, the bad guys, supernatural bad guys on the other. And I don't like that. And if they do have that in there, it not be the final outcome. They have a big major issue afterwards.
Yeah, like Sydney.
Yeah, I mean,
there's like two questions here. We're gonna panel from there. But you want to say like one last thing, Justin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, not a spoiler because in no way do I know what the hell is going to happen. But in the series, been around for a long time. I do believe it's going to be John, Danny are going to have a kid, and John will have to kill Danny. I think that's going to. I think that the bitters. I think no, I really do. I think that's.
I think she'll die in childbirth.
Yeah, more of that I would actually believe like that's
along those lines at least is what I'm saying. I think that we're headed towards that. Yeah.
Thank God. I mean,
yeah. First question, like, will Melisandre encounter Euron on her way back?
Ooh, damn.
In a perfect world, but
okay. So let's imagine if we're writing season 8. How will that go down then?
I would have just left Melisandre in Volantis or wherever she went. Shit, I don't. Oh man, that's a good question.
Because was she like basically heading back to like where that religion started or something?
Yeah, she says she needs that she's gonna die in West. She says she has to die there, and so does Varys. But again, who gives a shit about Varys? Obviously, I don't believe so, because do you really think that we're gonna see Euron over there wheeling and dealing to get the Golden Company? No, we're gonna see a shit ton more of ships with the Golden Company, and we're gonna get them because they need the Golden Company, and now they have them. So I mean, there's not going to be any time spent in Essos that we will see, I believe. And I believe we'll get Melisandre back in Westeros towards the end of the actual series. And we will not see her in Essos. I don't think we'll see Essos again at all.
No, I can agree with that.
The
I'm not happy about it.
Probably going to either be like going there, or they're probably like exiting and them leaving Essos, if anything.
Yeah, that's the best. And I'm not happy about it. I don't think that's...
But Melisandre did say that she was going to meet Arya again.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that has to happen.
Arya,
some way,
I
somehow.
think Arya will be her death. I think Arya will cause her death.
Yeah, that adds up.
I mean, and very well could be Varys, too. Because she was in the, she saw him and Illyrio plotting way back in the first season after she chased the cat down into the crypts or under the wherever. And then... she heard them plotting about Ned and slowing things down, kill another king. She could put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, I mean, Varys is gonna die somehow. I mean, it probably won't even matter. He'll probably just get like cancer or something. I don't know. It won't matter. But yeah, I think that Arya will kill Melisandre. I believe that.
Second question: will Dario leave, or will he continue to be a houseboy for Dany?
Dario?
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see him again.
You don't think we're going to see him?
No, they don't. They got 6 episodes full of CGI. That's what you got. Is there CGI involved in Dario? No. Then you won't see him.
Bring him in. It'll cause another little triangle there. Like I said, the love triangle. And, she's going to choose Jon. And he's going to fight for Cersei.
Yeah, exactly.
Ride that damn elephant.
I can't. What is this? Last names or last? It's Pissamede Sand or whatever. Yeah, they're putting. You're expecting D&D to remember what they've written previously. Don't hold your breath. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they totally just don't act like Dany was ever even in Slaver's Bay. I mean, like at this point, it doesn't matter if it's not CGI. It's not happening. So, I don't know.
It would be interesting if we see Dario like fight on the side of Cersei on the way against Dany, but even then, it's like, will that be the portion we're going to be getting with King's Landing and Cersei?
That could be the turning point of the cause of Cersei's death too. If he turns to change his sides, all of a sudden now he's going to fight for Dany because yada 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 their past, and. So then Cersei's really fucked, and that could be her downfall. But I don't see that happening. I see them, if he's involved, I see him fighting for Cersei. And giving... They're still trying to balance, because Dany has the numbers. She's always had the numbers. And they introduced Euron, and, they did pretty good, but... Now they're going to wipe out most of Dany's forces with the the Night's King, and then Cersei's back here with the Golden Company and the Euron and everything. So I think it's going to switch the tide. If it plays out that way, anyway, who knows?
What do you think about Dany's whole thing? Is her claim to the throne is, for all they know right now, the strongest. What is she gonna do when she finds out that Jon's stake is actually? I know, dude, but with their stupid succession, it's ridiculous. Right now in the show, we're not. Yeah, it's the strongest. What is Dany?
More claim to the throne than she does.
It does. Yeah, and there's the Queen Mother doesn't fucking become the queen when her son dies. Okay, but it's ridiculous, and definitely Lords of the Vale don't, elect the King of the North. So, and they definitely don't swear allegiance to them. Sweet Robin would have some issues with that. But anyways,
Sweet Robin, because he's not even gonna come back on this show.
I think he will be on in the next season. Surprisingly,
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
So, yeah.
I have some faith. But what I'm saying is, how will Danny react to John's stronger claim?
Well, she's gonna be like kind of furious or like question almost everyone, because now with John, who kind of has at least a bit of experience leading, it's like they're all gonna like shift towards him. That's how I see it with Tyrion and Varys. Period. Especially with Varys. It's like when Varys first spoke to her back in episode 2, it was like, I've heard about you, but I never planned for you to even like inherit the damn throne. So it's like, and he was like banking on Viserys. So then when he finds out about John, his claim is going to be like, okay, so I've seen how you're rolling so far, and you burning, you know, basically both Tyrion and Varys were like not happy about that. So it's like, I would not be surprised if they just sway more to John or just make John marry Danny, period.
I think they're definitely going to marry.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's about what Danny's going to do. It's about what John's going to do, and I don't think he's going to take it. He's been
No, he won't.
He's got a track record of leaving hot positions. You know,
he is the George. I've said it before. The George Washington. He's the oh shucks, I guess I'll do it. But he is ambitious. He always has been. He is a reluctant leader, but he is ambitious. You know, he doesn't certainly turn down these posts.
No, but at the same time, he does it because he has to. I think if he's got Danny standing there beside him, he's going to say, nope, she has it.
Yeah, I mean, he does like bending the knee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If anything, like Lord Commander position, okay, that I can see he kind of wanted that job, whatever. But then becoming like King of the North, I think he only just accepted it so it could just help him defeat the problem with the White Walkers. Because I still highly doubt like all the Northern Lords literally believe this White Walker shit until they actually do see it themselves.
But he didn't even want the Lord Commander, really. It just was pushed on him and he took it, you know. So like he said, the George Washington, the oh shucks.
I think that what they need to do, and obviously all that's left for them to do is deal with the Walkers, the White Walkers, and how they're going to defeat them. Hopefully give them a little bit of a story, hopefully show a little bit of a different side of them, and deal with you know, this whole prince that was promised, prophecy, the childbirth that will most likely definitely happen, and try to tie it up in some type of neat way, which Dan and Dave have not been able to do so far. But you know, I'm a big believer that Sansa still has a spot in the leadership when it's all said and done. You know, I think that we're going to see something like that. But also I think we're going to see another generation. There will be a child born. They've got a few things to do. They've got to kind of sum it up real quick. Evidently, they don't have to, but they're trying to. So they got to hit a few beats. And those beats are dealing with the John and Danny situation, the Walkers, and then is there going to be a throne, and who's going to sit on it if so?
I don't think there's even be anyone sitting on a throne in the end of it all.
That's what I'm saying. They need to address that, and then they're done. I mean, we got 6 episodes. 6 episodes, people.
You got to keep in mind it's based on the War of Roses, you know, so it loosely. But if we look at the way the history plays out, it wasn't the end of feudalism. I mean, it was part of the downfall. It eventually fell, but it still took another 100 years. So I would expect the throne to still be there for another 100 years. But at the same time, you know, consider this, right about, you know, right in that time frame, the next 20, 30 years, whatever, that Columbus happens. He sails to America. And if you really look at I mean, it's based on the world. I almost think Arya will sail west.
Yeah, I mean, that all is correct. In the books, I can see that happening. And I agree that the throne's not going to go anywhere, because just because we look at it and we say, oh, how could you live in this feudalistic society? We're looking from the outside, and people, even though they're in a shitty system, they are still, you know, creatures of habit. So they're not going to just be like, all right, let's get a Senate and start a fucking, Yeah, Republic.
Happen, though.
You know, I mean, we'll see a progression, and we'll see hopefully a wider understanding of how things should go. I agree with you, Bran, but I just don't see them really diving into it, like all this stuff of, oh, well, we see Daria, we have 6 episodes. I mean, I can't say it enough. You got 6 episodes, and they keep promising, oh, but they're going to be all like feature movies. They said that about this season. Did you guys in the chat feel like this?
Yeah, it's like
was all. Did you feel like these 7 episodes were all like movies? I mean, I feel like as far as story went, I feel like we got 3 episodes of fucking plot. And then we got fucking 7 episodes of shit blowing up.
It really was. It was like this. The finale was like the longest episode, whatever. I think they said like it's gonna be like similar to that type style, but it's like they basically spend like what 30 minutes or even almost 40 just on the parlay portion of it.
Yeah, I mean 6 episodes.
I actually enjoyed the final episode though. It got a lot of.
It was the dialogue that was better.
Absolutely. The Tyrion and Cersei was great, and the meetups were great, but a lot of that was only great because it was payoffs from when they were actually telling stories.
Exactly.
So what's the payoff now after 2 seasons of shit?
It ends.
So, next questions. Sand, will Dany fight Jon when... Okay, we answered that one. So who told a rumor about Rhaegar and Lyanna that started the Robert's Rebellion? So I think that was possibly Littlefinger setting it all up.
I think that was just 2 small folk talking. People want to believe what they want to believe. I don't think that they're going to pin anybody in particular for that. It's just, you know, probably in different regions, different stories are told. In the North, she was kidnapped. In the capital, she wasn't kidnapped. You know, I mean, that's my opinion. It's a good question, though.
The winners write the history.
Yep.
The winners write the history, so... yeah, I agree. I don't think it was any one particular person. It was a barroom talking, you know, and that's the consensus they came up with.
Yeah, in another thing with Robert's Rebellion, I mean, that it was built on a lie. You know, that rebellion would have happened no matter what. I don't think that this. I'm not going to even get into that annulment and all that, but whatever. The
only thing is Rhaegar would have let it.
Yes. So, what did somebody ask about Sansa? How will Sansa and Arya react to Jon and Dany's relationship?
Yeah, I think Arya was not gonna give like 2 Fs about it, but Sansa, she was a little bit pissed off about like Jon bending the damn knee.
Yeah, Sansa still has an arc. She still has story to go, and I do believe that she's gonna be. I see her as the Elizabeth of the Golden Age, Elizabeth Tudor, but. I think that it depends. I mean, like Preston Jacobs said it the best. They spinned Arya's personality wheel and it fucking landed on Maniac. So wherever that personality wheel lands on for that scene, that's what we'll get. I don't think that Sansa won't be happy. Sansa is going to be looking for leadership. I do believe that she still has a story. Her story doesn't end here. Arya's does, and it should have. But Sansa's story goes on, and she has bigger things. So I think she'll be upset, and Arya will probably... Yeah. Arya's just going to be Wolverine. I don't know.
Arya won't die, though.
Probably not.
No, she should die. That'll be like an epic death. Arya dying some...
Martin's wife's favorite character.
But this is D&D's writing. D&D's writing.
I don't think they'll change that much. I don't think they'll change it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're taking their separate paths and everything, but they still... I think they're staying true to the books more than we want to give them credit. God, I can't believe I said that, but of all people, I think we're be surprised when the books come out. I
still think that George is simply just trolling with those main points, as opposed to he's going to be in the books, or he just simply just gave them like the first draft. And like what other people saying is like that's why winners cost you just not out or just even the last. It's just like he's seeing what works.
I mean,
we've been avoiding is the Aegon thing.
We are avoiding that conversation because we don't want to bring that up in this.
Yeah. I mean, there's your basic
John, or you can call him Aemon. That's it.
Yeah, the themes of Game of Thrones, you know, war is bad. It doesn't benefit anybody. Religion is senseless in a lot of ways and makes people do crazy things. You know, there's a lot of tones and, you know, like overarching themes that are at the, you know, very soul of Game of Thrones that they know they have to accomplish. Obviously, the walkers are pretty much a metaphor for, you know, global warming, are the ignored real danger, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to, the themes and stuff are going to stay the same. It seems like Dan and Dave do understand that they need to portray war as terrible, and they've done a pretty decent job with that, especially in the Battle of the Bastards. They did a really good job, but they don't do it with individual violence like Arya. They celebrate that. And that's not something like in the books, like, you know, Bran, you know, I mean, Arya kills a kid for not laughing at her joke. She's a fucking murderer. You know what I mean? Like they totally prop her up and make her some type of hero when that's not really how it should go. So I think that the way in which they get to these places will be much different. And I think that's a lot of reason. Like I said, I don't believe George has it all under control. I do believe that his books are not coming out because he has written himself into a corner and he's having issues. He's done so much with like that Maroney's not like you said, Bran, and all that he's not completely sure. You know, I mean, he's human. I mean, come on, we're looking at like 2 years over.
I think it's out of his control at this point.
I'm not even talking about the show. Yeah.
You got to keep in mind, he doesn't decide when the book's published. It's the publishers.
Do you think they really wouldn't have released it if it was ready? People like money.
Yeah, if HBO come in and said, hey, you know, take this bag of money and hold it off till we finish the show, keep the hype going until we get the spinoff out. I can see that happening.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's not decided how he wants to go about it yet.
No, it's all part of the plan. When the show is over, then he's gonna drop one to Warner.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it playing out. Anyway, I think there's parties at play that aren't that we don't really see. You know, we won't.
Well, of course, yeah. No. I mean, he's just admitted to writing himself in the corners and stuff like that. Like I said, I do believe he built a very intelligent. Yeah.
1 month.
I mean, D&D are just racing off to do Confederate.
Yeah.
Like, they were planning on this year. Wait, they might as well just, you know what, for like what at the end of season 5, they should have did like their 1 or 2 year break, whatever. Like other people like are suggesting as well, and just probably just release Winds of Winter.
But look at what he's working on instead of Winds. He's now that I forget the name of the book, but it's the Targaryen bloodline, and I know that a lot of that information was
Fire and Blood
already worked out when they did this, and they had to cut a lot of it. But still, I think that again, that's another example of him doing lore and world building.
Crazy Alba stream. It's like, and I agree with him when he said it. It's like, why are you working on like the building up the world? We're not even focusing on the main plot.
Yeah, I think he enjoys that more, and I think he's better at that. Trust me, I think he's one of the best writers. And like I said, like you said earlier, Faulkner said, and that's what George really utilizes, is there's no better story than the struggle of you know, within one's own self, and that's what he really utilizes. But he
doesn't have to create the lore.
But he's all about it. And we can't, I mean, look at all the things that we like Robert's Rebellion. Everybody wanted to see it. I did too. That's part of why he's so good, is because the things that we don't see are the things we are always thinking about. All the most badass things that have happened are always things that happened in the past, and they're things that are part of the lore. He's really good at that. He's really good at all these great stories about Targaryen, you know, kings and bastards, you know, the Rogue Prince, things like that. Dunk and Egg, he's great. You know, we almost have the first season is almost all just people talking about rebellions and stuff that happen off screen, and then you don't even have to see a battle. You just envisioning it in your head, and it's badass. But when it comes to finishing this story, it's becoming an issue.
Yeah, we missed the intricacies of the first, second, third season. Leading up to the red wedding and stuff. Then that was true shock value. That blew everybody away. But that book readers did not spoil it because they knew how
Yeah, some books,
that scene
some
was.
people did spoil it.
Well, some did, yeah, I'm sure, but I mean, majority anyway. I know I didn't mention to anybody because I wanted them to. They experienced pretty much what I experienced 10 years ago when I read it, and he draws on that emotion so well. He can put it out there so well, and now it's lost all that to me after season 4. But
if you don't get to know characters, if you don't flesh them out, then you don't have the payoffs. Imagine if they just would have had just little, like how they handle shit now with Rob. If they wouldn't have shown the aftermath of some of his battles. They didn't even show really any of his battles, actually. But we are so invested in him.
They didn't have to.
They know, that's what I'm saying. It's great. It's great. And we're so emotionally invested in him. Can you think of a character now that besides, I guess, a lot of people, Danny and John, or Jamie? Jamie, for me, would be a character that I think he needs to die. And I think that will complete the story for him. It'll be shitty. Yeah. But it will be hard for me to watch. I can think of very few other people that it'll be hard for me to watch. He won't kill Tyrion, but you build them up so you can knock them down, and they're not building people up anymore. Right. Euron just comes in. He's a hot topic rock star. He's like, "What's up? I got a dick. Theon ain't got no dick."
They destroyed my favorite character, and I'm so pissed.
Yeah, you love him. Yeah. That's
another Stannis treatment with your character.
They put it on fucking retard. It's bad. They did make him better. They did improve on him. He's not great.
When? Where? How? Who?
He's better than he was last season. I'm not happy with him. But
there was hardly anything of last season to show with him. To even truly improve. It was just, for me, it was an intro. It's like for last season, it was just trying to pan into book readers because they were really disappointed because they kind of knew what to expect with Euron.
Yeah,
they've taken the supernatural aspect from him, and that is a huge aspect of his character, and it hurts to watch that portrayal. It really does. I hate it. I hate it. I can't.
It's like watching
yeah, he's got some funny moments. He says some funny shit. He acts goofy as hell, whatever. But that's not Euron. He's very manipulative. He's very charismatic, but at the same time, a fucking psycho.
Well, I really enjoyed the scene where he inquired about ass play with Cersei, with Jamie. I was like, that's delightful. That is really good writing, D&D. I don't know who.
Euron was one of the people, besides the Hounds, Euron had the best comedic and intriguing lines this season.
Yeah.
It's sad.
They could have sand snaked.
I ran on Euron for hours, so you don't.
Oh, I know. I know.
There's so much to him that they cannot understand. It makes me wonder if they've actually read the books and understand the themes behind it. It really does. Or they just read a forum and it said, "Hey, Lyanna's the mother," and they go pitch it to George, and he fell for it.
They both have written books themselves that aren't terrible. I've read the Cliff Notes. I haven't read the whole what is it, City of Thieves.
They sewed Deadpool's mouth shut.
I know.
Deadpool.
No, I don't like them at all. But I'm saying that it's. I think it's unfair to compare the books to the show. I think that you'll never achieve that. And that is something that comes into play whenever you're doing adapting. But
Walking Dead,
they're tripping over their own feet without even worrying about living up to the books. I'm just expecting them to live up to what they've done, which isn't much, but just stop tripping over their own feet. Stop being so inconsistent. Keep your continuity right. Don't tell me something's happening and then the next scene say something else is happening. I mean, it's just sloppy. There's usually a script supervisor that it's there for continuity only. I don't know if they have one, or if they fucking fired them because they kept talking because they're, hey, we actually can't do this because you guys said something else last episode. But that's why it's like when it comes to the books, yeah, they're not as good as the books, but they're never going to be.
It has like over hundreds of pages and like description and stuff where they can actually get to the damn point.
Absolutely.
Show, it's like, okay, we don't have that much time. We only can do like 10 episodes. Well, in this case, 7 and next 6. So we gotta like minimize everything and answer every bit we can. That's why I'm not really pissed off at the show. And to read the books, I just understand, okay, this is like the show. Like almost every single adaptation ever created, it's like it's never fully 100% to it. There's always gonna be like that 10%, or in this case, even like 80. It's gonna be its own thing.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no way it was ever gonna live up. And that's not even fair to hold it to it. So, but that's what I'm saying. There's enough issues with them tripping over their own feet. So
I agree. And I understand that. I mean, there are very few that actually, I would say, compare to the book, but books that I've read anyway. I didn't expect a perfect adaptation. I just expected the same quality from season 1, season 2, season 3. You know, the awesome storytelling that I understand. You're gonna have to cut corners, you're gonna have to take out characters here and there. What was the point of Jorah getting grayscale? Why did they give him that?
Imperfect point. And that's a great example. And look how they dealt with it in the most simple caveman way. They just fucking cut it off. You know what I mean? Like,
the first thing you would do if you got grayscale would be to cut it off. But that's the secret way to get rid of it.
They set up complex situations because complexity has been set up, and then they deal with it like a caveman. Like I said, it's like a maze that's so intricate, but then they just slam through the walls. It's like don't create this totally, detailed, complex scenario and then just fucking bash through it with an ice dragon or cut it off with a knife. It's just silly. If you're gonna be dumb, just be dumb all around. I don't know.
I think with just securing the grayscale, I think that was just like one of possible ways, but it was just simply the most dangerous that led to death. So they're like, oh, well, even though it seems a little bit easier, so they just went with that route. So it still seemed a little bit plausible.
It doesn't make sense, though. It doesn't make sense that just cutting it off cures it. If they would have burned him, I would have been a little understanding. I could see fire curing grayscale, but not just cutting it off.
Was going to cure grayscale, I think Danny would just order one of her dragons to simply just burn.
The Maesters in general.
That comes from a legitimate theory. That's why I say that.
Okay.
Comes from a legitimate theory. I mean, I'll lay it out real quick. Stannis, Shireen, she got grayscale. He brought in a bunch of people. Somebody had to have cured it. Well, why does Stannis immediately trust Melisandre? I mean, he just falls into allegiance with her. Why? Unless a fire priest cured Shireen. Unless fire was the actual cure for Shireen, and that's why he trusts their judgment.
Yeah. Well, the Maesters in general were very disappointing. I mean, first off, they seem to be not aware of anything.
I think they are aware of it, but just saying that, we believe in the dead, they probably lose a lot of credibility.
They should have, played a little bit more on like they're playing it dumb because they hate magic so much. Like, because in the books, obviously that's the theme, but they didn't have to do a whole conspiracy. But I mean, they really just, it was almost like a portrayal of like a lot of shows or movies will have like, the big wigs or the upper class, the elite that are just not worried about what the small folk are dealing with. That's how they were. I felt like they were a bunch of misers in a room, just writing fucking books about stupid shit and that, I mean, shit, they weren't even aware that, Giora, fuck it, messed that up. Who was Lord Commander. They didn't even tell Sam. I mean, that could have been a great scene to see how Sam reacted to his fucking family being dead. They're just like, nah, fuck it.
Heartsbane. What the hell?
Fuck it.
Tarly just doesn't take it to battle?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
You would think that Randall Tarly would have his war sword with him, his Valyrian blade, but no, he don't even mention it.
No, well, you can't assume that everything you can't assume that everything they show happened. I mean, if they forget it happened, it didn't happen. If they don't want to deal with it, it's not going to happen. You know, maybe they're feeling frisky. Yeah, they're like, hey, have him steal the sword. That would be great. And then they're like, oh shit, we had him steal that sword. They're like, fuck it, don't bring it up again. There isn't
Probably,
a
like, the last
million
season,
people
'cause
on
we need
Reddit.
Valyrian steel
Out of sight, out of mind.
to defeat the
Yeah.
White Walkers. So hopefully Sam brings it up saying, hey, I have the damn freaking sword, and do something. I don't know.
I'm just waiting for
I'm hoping
Gilly
Sam
to
will
drop
get
some
to-
more information. You know, I mean, any important information should be learned through Gilly reading like a third grader. That's how I like to get my info. She's my news source, but it is what it is. I mean, I still enjoy it. We wouldn't be talking about it as much if we didn't enjoy it, but I definitely don't hold it in the same regard as I used to.
Well, we got to touch on Aegon.
God, which
You don't
one?
have to touch on Aegon.
Go ahead.
And on that note,
The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I really hated it at first, but I don't know. I've done a lot of reading up on it, and I'm really thinking it's going to happen in the books too.
What do you
Really?
mean?
I hate to say. Well, okay. Think about this. Well, we get that vision of in the books anyway. You don't see it on the show. Rhaegar sees, or you see Rhaegar and a woman. That woman is never described. It never says who that woman is, and they talk about, Aegon being his name. Well, and it being Aegon being a good name for a king. If that woman was either one, Lyanna or Elia, doesn't matter. If he said that to one, he probably could have said it to the other too. And if Lyanna's land, it had to take months before Ned got to Lyanna. Had to take months. You know, he didn't just go straight to the Tower of Joy and find her. You know, even if he did go just straight there, it's going to take a week or two.
Didn't he stopped at King's Landing first, right?
Yeah, he was at King's Landing, and then he took off, and nobody knows exactly what he done. But to me, it's going to take a couple months to figure out everything. Well, in that couple months, she could have found out that, Rhaegar and the kids are dead and everything, and she remembered him saying Aegon's a good name for a king. Her son's the king now, or will be heir king, so she named him Aegon. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It isn't as bad as I thought initially. And then when I've read a lot of like Poor Quentin and Brendan B. Fish, Wars and Politics, that they put up a strong argument. They really do.
Well, Lyanna's naming him, and by that time she could have known that the other Aegon was dead. So it could have,
Exactly.
it wasn't Rhaegar naming, Aegon.
Exactly.
So I agree. I mean, I don't got no foibles over that.
I just had to mention that because it got a lot of hate, and I hated on it at first too. I hated on it hard because I was thinking it needed to be Viserys. You got Aegon and you got Rhaenys. You need a Visenya. You need the V.
Mm-hmm.
And so, logically, it would have been a Viserys. But after a bunch of research and reading, I really kind of changed my opinion on it. I don't like it really, but it makes sense.
If you're gonna pick a bone with anything, it should be the annulment. If you're gonna nitpick, I would nitpick the annulment because it just doesn't add
make sense though. Like they wanted to truly somehow legitimize Jon for the throne. So like, okay, let's have the annulment.
But that's not how annulment works.
Introduced polygamy. They didn't really introduce polygamy into the Targaryens in the show, so that's completely unheard of. It very well could have happened. Elia said, "Go, do this." If he's that obsessed with the prophecy, and he convinces her about this prophecy, she knows she can't have any more kids. All right, go make the third one of this prophecy, save the world. I think it very well could be a polygamous situation more than mirroring Aegon the Conqueror.
Yeah, it's just, I would have used a different word. I just wouldn't even have said annulment because annulment, at least in our world, and I know that Ilio and all them have debunked it and said that that's not how it works in Westeros, but whatever, they're total show haters, so you can't go by them either. I just wouldn't use the word annulment because annulment means you didn't have sex You didn't consummate the marriage. They obviously have kids. So, that's just a bad word to use. That's just another example of D&D just being like, it was annulled. And how are we going to let them know that? Have Gilly read it. It's like, perfect. Let's go. We're done. It's just a little annoying to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. A lot of drinking, I guess, when they're writing. So
I don't know. The whole Rhaegar scene, I didn't really. They really should have gave us the Harrenhal.
They did, because we already kind of knew about the whole Lyanna thing and Rhaegar from the moment we saw last season with Bran going into freaking the Tower of Joy. Just having that play over the both sex thing, it's like, okay, it was not like all of us wanted it to happen, then have us realize, yeah, they're just really aunt and nephew. They really should just had it as, Bran just flashback throughout the whole damn entire season that attorney had Aaron, period.
Yeah, and I really thought we were going to get that when we saw the pictures of the dragon pit, because if I'm going to nitpick that, why the fuck was there seats that people used to sit around? I mean, and it didn't look like it didn't hold Drogon too well. I mean, it was very underwhelming for me. Very underwhelming.
I hardly even noticed Drogon besides him just entering, and that was it.
Well, the thing is, it's like that's when I saw those pictures. I thought, oh, they're going to do Harrenhal. It looked like, that could have been a place where they held a joust. So they're no, it's a dragon pit. I'm like, what the fuck? It looks like Capua. It looks like the old gladiator stadium.
Yeah, how is that a dome?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But you're only getting those 6 episodes for CGI, just like that. So enjoy.
But on that note, it's been about 2 hours, and we have to cut the stream a little bit down now, because I remember I started this. You're like, well, we couldn't expand it for 2 hours or so.
Wait a minute. I do agree. When AU just said that his dad had his marriage and all that after 4 kids and 40 years of marriage. How'd that work, AU? How does that work?
Aegon the Fourth?
No, AU's in his actual life. He just put that in the chat.
Oh.
No, so it looks like that trumps what he said earlier. I guess that's how they work.
Henry VIII couldn't get a fucking divorce from Catherine of Aragon, and he separated from the church because of it. So
I'm guessing in the world of Ice and Fire, annulments are something entirely different.
Yeah, it is what it is. I annul the annulment.
That's the
I've had fun.
Fantasy. You create what you want.
Yeah, you can. But they still break a lot of their own rules.
Yeah.
But
well, no,
I mean,
I get what you're saying, but Martin sets out a pattern and he sticks to the pattern.
Yeah,
that's why I have issues with the themes, and that's what hurt my opinion of the show. It's lost its themes, it's lost its arcs, it's lost its intricacies, it's lost everything that made it enjoyable for me. That's why I quit watching.
Yeah, I guess on an end note, all I can say is I hope for the best. I only pick it apart because I love it, and I hope that it really comes together for the last season. But I got a feeling that we'll never be happy anyways, even if it was done great, because it's always hard to end a series. But let's just hope it's handled a little bit better than this season.
And like Lost or True Blood
or Dexter. Oh man, such a good
series. Don't even bring up Dexter.
Oh my god.
So much promising.
I know, they just fucked that right up.
No, this.
I'm glad I don't watch TV.
This damn, I gotta weep again for Dexter.
Well, thank you, BBM, for having me on. And anybody that's not subscribed to my channel, I believe it's in the link, correct?
Yeah. So just about to transition to that. Justin, again, thank you for being on the panel along with you too, Bran. So with Justin, since you already just plugged in your damn links to where we can find you, and it is in the description box, and I was about to put it out in the live chat. But where can we find you, Justin?
At either folklessershow.com, where we have my videos as well as wonderful blogs written by a few different authors. One author is with us right now, the wonderful Bran the Builder, who does, in my opinion, the best almost essays, I would call them, on A Song of Ice and Fire. And you can go to the Justin Thomas Show on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe. I do Game of Thrones, Westworld, anything, Walking Dead, all the fandom shows that we love. So show some support and go over to the channel, go over to the site and check it out.
Yo, how the folks, and I put the link to his YouTube channel within the live chat for those who are in the live chat, and later on for those like watching the future is in the description box. And Bran, where can we find you? I know you don't have a YouTube channel, but you're in other outlets though.
Yeah, I don't do the YouTube yet, but who knows? Maybe eventually. I do a lot on Amino. I do my own blogs. I'm in a blogging group called the Dragons of Valyria. We constantly doing something, got something going on. Then, like Justin said, you can find me on the Focalizer Network. I do specifically a Song and Ice and Fire blogs. I don't touch the show very often, but it's a passion. It really is. So I keep to it. I think that's everywhere. You can find me on any social media, really.
This is known. And also, me and Bran do occasionally co-host on the Citadel of Trivia channel. You know, if you do love trivia, Game of Thrones related, or even like other shows and alleys. Like this past week, we did what was it, Classic Rock and Game of Thrones. And this week, Friday, Friday, I believe it's 8 p.m.
8 o'clock
Eastern, whatever.
Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern and 7 Central. We're going to be doing, was it Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Yep. I don't know if that's book or show, but I know it's Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings.
No, we're going to do with, I believe it's what, I'm not sure about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, I believe it's be on movies, along with The Hobbit as well, basically on movies as well. Not The Hobbit, Harry Potter. I just said The Hobbit, my bad. At least I'm thinking of The Hobbit. I don't know, because there's like so much like Lord of the Rings shout outs in this entire season alone, especially with episode 6.
Yeah. Untouchable.
But yeah, as I'm just running along, again, thank you for all those who are tuning in or even watching later. For those who came in and was in the live chat, again, thank you, Alan, AU, Shelly, Claudia, Felicia, Helena, Jim, JW, Flux, Notes, and Vibe Messiah. I remember people stopped in earlier. Live Left stopped in earlier. Phil the Issue that stopped in earlier. Those who I cannot remember, my apologies. Just like go in the comment section, says, Broke, you forgot about me, and I'll mention you in the next live stream. But again, till then, I am the Broke Black Man 94. This is Justin Thomas and Bran the Builder. Take care, all.
Have a good one.
Fuck Stannis.